Where the Wild Things Are, this movie till this day still gives me PTSD.
Hello. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Now, I'm not going to hark on you for not liking it and never wanting to revisit it, but I do kind of want to explain why you felt the way that you did. This movie is not just about a kid who got in trouble and is now using his imagination to just kind of chill in his room. There's a couple of different stories going on right now. So, spoilers for Where the Wild Things Are. The movie came out like 14 years ago. If you can find it, watch it. It's so good. So the main idea of the story is you got Max, right? He's the main character. And it is basically the exact same character as the book. Now, obviously, the book is a little bit quicker. It's only a few pages long. And it kind of is supposed to reflect like, hey, kids, if you don't listen to your parents and try and be good kids, then you'll be stuck out in the forest with these monsters. It's kind of the idea that at least I got out of it when I was a kid, and it is one of my favorite kids' books. Now, Max is a child. He's a kid, so he likes to do kid things. But he doesn't really have any friends. His older sister is, well, an older sister, and she doesn't really want to do little kid stuff. His mom has gone through a divorce and is actually dating Mark Ruffalo? Yeah, he shows up. And obviously Max, being a young kid, doesn't understand what's going on. He thinks that his mom is just being a loon and just dating somebody else other than his dad, who either left or died. I can't really remember. And she has to deal with the fact that he's a hyperactive child who doesn't really understand what she's going through with the fact that she has lost somebody, whether, again, that be he just left or he died, and now she's trying to build her life back up. But Max is getting in the way. He wants to imagine. He, says the line, "I'm going to eat you up," and he pretends to be a monster. He's a little monster. And so he eventually runs away because he can't stand the fact of this life that his mom is trying to build for herself. And through that running away, in my eyes, it feels more like he is actually running away, but not very far. And he is mostly imagining what most of the stuff is in the movie. Again, trying to rehash similar things that happened in the book. He gets sent to his room because he was a bad kid, and he doesn't get dinner, and he starts imagining his room changing into this jungle where he finds the wild things. Now, in the movie, it's a lot more... It is a lot darker. I'll give you that. It is a little spooky, but I think that's the intention. He's a kid trying to figure out his feelings, trying to figure out himself. It's not really a puberty story, but it's more of just like an emotional story. And each of the wild things actually represent a part of Max's life. And Cheryl is the main one, his little wild thing inside of him. And so he gravitates towards him a lot more. But there are other characters in the movie that are like different emotions of Max. And he has to deal with those emotions and try to figure out what those are and how to not control them, but like understand them, And the use of puppetry is perfect. This is a kid. He's, in real life, the actor, he's probably not going to do as well of a job as he actually does if he had all of this CGI stuff to have to deal with. Now, as far as I can tell, the only CGI they really used, as in the Wild Things, is their eyes, maybe their nose, and their mouth. Other than that, it's all practical. So, I don't know, a 9-10-year-old kid running around playing with giant monsters all day as a job, that's gotta be fun. But back to the point of the movie is, again, he's kind of growing up. He's learning that dealing with your emotions is very important. And you kind of have to be friends with your emotions. And you kind of have to have all these emotions connect together and become a family or a friendship. As a kid, you don't really understand what the hell is going on. You're just growing up. Why do you think 5-year-olds start crying for no reason? Because they don't know how to deal with their emotions. They're feeling something, but they don't know what it is. They don't know what it's called, so they cry. They don't know how to deal with it. And I think it's a very good movie. Regardless, I don't think a kid is going to totally understand that point. But, you know, as parents, to watch this movie and be like, okay, treat their emotions like a puzzle or like a monster or something to kind of figure out and investigate. Because I feel like there's too many parents, at least in my circle of people, that are either too hard on children for not understanding what you know as an adult, or being too soft on kids, and then they kind of just run rampant and turn into Max at the beginning of the movie. So for you to say that this movie is spooky, it's scary, and that you won't go back and watch it, that's your opinion. That's totally fine. But I gotta tell you, this movie's a little bit more deep than the book. It's a little bit more deep than most children movies. And with that information, maybe you'll want to watch it again and kind of see that in a new light, but if not, that's okay. Where the Wild Things Are is one of my favorite movies because of that. It is a kid's movie, but it is a little dark. It is a little scary. It is a little unnerving, and you get a little confused, and you gotta think a little bit, because most kids' movies nowadays are flashing lights, colors, and sounds. Another movie that feels very similar is The Land Before Time. And that's not because I'm biased on dinosaur movies, but it has a very similar feel, just not as dark. Littlefoot at the beginning has to finally realize, spoilers for like a 40-year-old movie, but he has to realize that he's alone at one point. His mom is dead. His grandparents are gone. He is alone. And he has to deal with that and understand. But once Sarah, Spike, Petrie, and Ducky show up in his life, he eventually starts to lighten up. And now it's like, oh, I can have more than just my family. I can actually create my own relationships and start feeling better again. Again, if you don't want to revisit this wonderful movie, in my opinion, that's fine. But just know that all the stuff that you see, all the spooky stuff, the music, just everything, all very intentional. What do you guys think? Did you like Where the Wild Things Are? Have you seen it? Let me know in the comments below.